Hello and welcome to Pellicar. This is Nuts and Bolts, episode 13. This is the show where we talk about fantasy world building as it pertains to RPGs, storytelling, and Dresden's Tale in particular. I've been developing this world for about 35 years. During most of that time, I've been involved in gaming to one extent or another. I've run some great campaigns. I've done some writing, and I've published a few things. I have a history degree from Oklahoma State University. I've been self employed and I've worked for the man. Now, does this wealth of life experience make me an expert? In some things, well, no. But in others, I think I can say I am. But today, we're talking about fantasy economics, and in that, you can trust me. Today, we are going to launch into a big old 3-part series. In part 1, we're going to talk about how economics does, can, should, and shouldn't affect your game world. We're going to talk about what it might do for your setting and how it's more of an opportunity than an anchor. In episode 2, we're going to get technical. And finally, in part 3, we're going to talk exclusively about the economics of Dresden's Tale in all its convoluted glory. Now let me tell you something right off the hop. There's not a damn thing wrong with keeping things simple. You find mixed wealth of 5,000 bits. Here's your list of interesting stuff, says the GM. Cast detect magic, says the priest of Bayless. Here's your revised list, says the DM, and everybody is happy. The party goes home, spends fixed amounts on things they need. No sales tax, no city tax, no muss, no fuss. Then you focused on the things that you want to have in your game. 1,000,000 years ago, when I was GMing, about the most complicated thing I normally made my party do was write off a reasonable amount of coins for the basic expenses and all the stupid crap that rich adventurers would spend their money on. This is session 0 stuff. Talk to your group and ask them what level immersion works for them. Even if they like to feel part of the world, I don't think anybody's going to want to fill out yearly tax returns for the kingdom. But it might be fun to try. Now, they just might have to pay a levy when the king wants a new castle or has to finance a war. It might even make for an interesting story arc when some local leader goes all Sheriff of Nottingham on the local community. Just so you know, and for history's sake, modern tax schemes are just that, modern. Historically, rulers would tax trade routes, essentially a toll for passing through. They might own the local gold mines or other means of production, and they might occasionally levy the region's landholders. There are a lot of schemes the political head might use, but it's not likely to be nearly as organized as things are today. On the military side, there's raiding and the enforcement of tribute, but remember, maintaining a fighting force is expensive and rarely profitable. Since we're talking about a fantasy economy, adventurers are likely to follow the rules of landed nobility. It's not unreasonable to expect a tax. I truly believe it's important for a GM to set expectations. Waiting for the party to make a big score is not the time to bring up taxes. It's going to seem random. It's going to seem like you have an agenda to keep them poor. As characters living in that world, they should know what to expect. Unless you're running some kind of fish out of water, stranger in a strange land thing. If that's the case, you can use it to set the mood for a region and create conflict. However, if they're established in an area, they should know the local economics, and so should you. Now that doesn't mean they have to like it, of course. If you make economics a cornerstone in the urban side of your fantasy world, taxes should come up from time to time. When you're talking about local events, bring up these issues. Headline, Goblin raids slow down the production of gold. King is expected to levy extra taxes to make up for the shortfall. Headline, Bears 5th Cavalry to be disbanded. Expenses no longer warranted. Headline, Warlord Noble spends record sums on daughter's wedding. If money is important to your campaign, talk about it, whether it's taxes, budgets, or just what the local millionaires are doing with their cash. As a GM, take a moment in your world building and think about it. Is it a vanilla capitalist society? Is there barter? How far out into the weeds of your economy do you want to go? Are you going to handwave a complex bureaucracy of bookkeepers into existence and then forget about them forever? It's perfect for a beginning GM. You can always add flavor the next time around. So what am I really proposing here? What's my idea of the right way to do it? I say find a happy medium where your players feel like personal finances are important, but you're not bogged down. Sit down with your players every few sessions or chat out a game. Does your character hide money? Do they flaunt it? Is there anything you're spending money on that I, as a GM, need to know about? What about investments, gifts, family members that always seem to need another 100 gold to get them by? When you're letting players know about local events, throw in something simple about money and see if it takes off. Help wanted. Local noble looking for adventure group to deliver 1 administrator and 1 big chest of gold to capital city. Let the players discover the gold is to pay off a loan, hence finding out loans are a possibility. Now remember, if in session 0 they decline an interest in economic campaigns, just make this a one and done. Well, unless, of course, they choose to go deeper down the rabbit hole. But what if you're just world building with no campaign? Maybe you're an author, or just got caught up into the hobby. Honestly, all these same things apply. You just don't have to worry about what the players think. Even if you're keeping things simple for your audience, you should still know how it works in the background. Ignoring money is ignoring a big part of character building. How much time does a normal person spend dealing with money? How much does money define you? And if you don't think it does, how much does it define the people you know? People are greedy, generous. They might give to beggars, or they might steal from them. How often do you have a conversation with a coworker about what they're spending their money on? How a person handles money isn't always their most important character trait, but it's up there, and it's the GM's job to let them explore it. What does big money do to the PC's environment? As a GM, you need to know what big money even means. If I win $20,000, it's a big deal for me. Damn near a life-changing event, sad to say. Actually, this is a good time to recommend that all of you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. A little bit of passive income from this particular hobby would just be awesome, and you have the power to help me with that. Just 5 more subscribers sure would make me feel good, and that'd only leave another 965 to go before I start raking in the YouTube bucks. If you're already a subscriber, remember, there's the like button. That helps other people to see and enjoy this video. If generosity is one of your character traits, leave a comment and tell me what's on your mind. If you're not sure what to say, just tell me your favorite color. Alright, now where were we? Oh yeah, what does big money mean? You see, this happens in the real world if you pay attention. Local kid hits it rich. They donate to the church, the library, and the hospital. That's how things get named after people, that or dying in spectacular fashion. Adventurers are generally going to have friends, family, and people that they know that are in need. They might pay to have a new well dug, or a million other things specific to your game world. In small towns, they might quickly take over the local political scene. Again, Session 0. How do they feel about getting involved in local politics? Just local commerce might seriously impact an area. Hey, do you remember Corey, the blonde over at the local inn? When some warrior passed them 100 bits as a tip, it was just what they needed to open their own tavern. Interactions with the rich can change people's lives, especially before the local economy has time to compensate. At the municipal level, a little negotiated tax might upgrade the town guard into new armor and weapons. One of my greatest wishes in Skyrim has always been the desire to be able to buy the local guards some new equipment. Even if the campaign doesn't get political, local leaders will at least need the nod of a head from the local heroes to maintain power. Does the cavalier pay for the construction of a new barracks? Does the thief end up stealing back the contributions? Does the priest have a new temple built? Of course, things are much different in a larger town or city, but ultimately, it's just a matter of scale. Players might take advantage of this. Rather than accepting the pressures of wealth, they might just move to where it's not so noticeable. In turn, this adds pressure. In the big city, the GM's world building potential grows exponentially. Or is it an opportunity? Take all of those things you figured out for your little starting town and multiply them. Eco drives a whole new range of possibilities in the city. With wealth comes power. The power to make or break trade guilds, unions, political factions, religious sects. Certainly, a fighting group, as individuals or as a whole, might want to avoid these things, but they're going to be around. The GM should have a firm grasp of local politics and the social layers within developed cities. It's not just a king, a few merchants, and a lot of poor people. A city will always have factions, and you can be as creative as you like. How long can a party slide under the radar in their new home? What happens when they're even richer and more powerful than the highest nobility? What if players just want to fight monsters? I find myself conflicted as I finish this script. You see, I have a dear friend, probably the best friend a guy could ever have, and he hated the political side of gaming. Now, yes, this is an episode about economics, not politics, but they're deeply intertwined. In a healthy game, eco means you're interacting with NPCs in a non-violent way. Social interaction inevitably leads to politics, whenever it's internal to a guild or all across an empire. And it's not that he didn't understand it, he just didn't want to deal with it. It's not a part of the game he was interested in. Forever GMs often end up that way because they love the world building, and economy is an element you can't ignore, even if you find a way to keep it out of the campaign itself. That said, my advice, as always, take your players' likes and dislikes into account when planning that next piece of your plot. They won't always get what they want, but it's your job to find that middle ground. Now, on that introspective note, we'll wrap things down. I mentioned that this little episode is turned into a three-parter. Next time around, we're going to get into some real-world economic models and discuss how they might work in fantasy settings. For now, I hope you've enjoyed it. This is your chance to become part of the conversation. Leave a comment. Let's talk about things. How do you handle commerce in your fantasy setting? What economics and political systems have inspired you? I just want to thank everybody for listening. It means a lot to me that you spent a few minutes hanging around with me on my YouTube channel today. Leave a like, tell your friends, and most of all, I hope you all have an absolutely wonderful day.